Hi everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first coincidence miracle today has to do with the start of my day. I had planned on doing several other things for the day, but as soon as I awakened in the morning, I was inspired to talk to God about my plans, and I felt very clear that since the summer was ending, that I should do the best I could while the weather was good and get to a park and hand out some cards to the people at the park, because that turns out to be a very effective way to tell people about the book I wrote, and to tell people about the plan. The mission of the book is that God wants to talk to every single person and wants to have conversations with each one of us every day. That's the most vital, important mission that I have after writing 2 books, actually, with that mission. So I was inspired to talk to God about the plan for the day again, even though I had already made other plans the prior day. So I was inspired to go to the beaches and hand out cards, and I got ready and took off to do that. And the first thing that happened to me when I got on the major expressway to take me down to the beaches is a car pulled up. As I came up the ramp, a car pulled out in front of me that was already on the highway, and his license plate number was number 1111, 4 ones, and that's very significant because 3 ones means historically that God is telling us in, like, Mark chapter 12 verse 29, God is telling us that he is one. There's only one God, not like the Greek gods that there were many gods. There's only one God, and he's almighty, he's all powerful, and he's in charge of all things. As I continued traveling on the highway now, it was going to be about an hour trip to get to the parks. As you may know from prior recordings, prior shows, there are 4 parks at this one large park in Connecticut, and so I needed to decide on the way down which parks, which parking lots I was going to stop in first, because I usually stop at all 4 of them to pass out cards. And it's important for me to be at the right park at the right time, because over the past 6 months I've been seeing that different people are at different beaches at different times, and so I need to ask God which beach to go to first. And so I was praying for that, and I got inspired to watch the plates going by, the cars passing me, and that would indicate to me which beaches to go to. And I've done this many, many times over the last 30 years. When I'm on a highway, I often have license plates go by and clarify things for me. And so sure enough, what happened was the plates that came by indicated, I saw one plate with 3 number 3s on it, and then I saw another plate with 3 number 1s, and I saw another car with 3 number 2s, and they came by, which set up the visits of the beaches now would be in that order. So I go to the 3rd beach first, and then to the 1st beach, and then back up to the 2nd beach, and the last beach remaining was beach number 4. So that was the plan, and I was praying about things I would cover and things I would say about the book when I got there. And then as I got close to the exit, I felt I should ask for a confirmation of my plan. So I asked God to give me a confirmation of the plan, and the only thing I wasn't sure of was, should I go to the beaches in the order that I had been inspired to go in earlier, about an hour earlier. And so my concern was that I was going to go to beach number 3 first, instead of just going in order, beach 1, 2, 3. It was strange that I was supposed to do that. So I asked for clarity, and sure enough, a car came passing me way beyond the speed limit. It passed me, and its license plate only said a word track and the number 3. That's what it was. So the license plate came speeding by to confirm that, yes, we're on track, go to beach number 3 first. So that's what I did. I got off the highway, and as I entered the park, I drove immediately up to park number 3 to park. And I pulled in, and I was getting ready. I was getting things out of my car to get ready to go. And a woman pulls in right in front of me. She gets out of her car, and I was ready to go now, so ready to go to the park. So I was inspired to approach her first. And this turned out to be such an amazing thing, because I approached her and I offered her a card. She said, "What's the book about?" And I explained, it's learning to understand God's will, asking God what to do, knowing how to discern and look for the clues and the signs. And she was so delighted. She related to me how she had had a very stressful past 2 days, and today was no exception. She was having abundant stresses. She had just visited her doctor. She found out she was pregnant, and she's not married. So on top of all of her other problems, now she has this dilemma, and she came here today to get her head screwed on straight about what to do and what to do in what order, and she certainly could use help. So I told her about our website where she can go and listen to the book for free, so she could get some immediate input. And she asked for some advice about how do people discern, God's will. So I explained, fleecing and what our book talks about, how to ask God. And you just heard a little bit earlier how I was getting discernment to come to the beaches, and I came to this 3rd beach. So very significantly, I was able to tell her that I was inspired to come to this particular beach, and I wouldn't have seen her getting out of her car if I didn't do that, come here first. And so I told her some things which helped her. And then what amazing thing happened next was a very close friend of hers, they've been friends for like 10 years, she told me, a friend of hers just drove in and pulled over next to us. We were standing there in the parking lot talking, and her friend pulls over and says hello, and they didn't know they were both coming. And so they agreed that she was going to park her car and they were going to go sit together in the park. And so that's when the woman told me, this person who just came in has been a friend of hers for many, many years, and she's a perfect person for her to have today for a sounding board. So she told me she sees a miracle from God already in this fact that her friend is coming over to join her and meet her. So that all convinced me that I was supposed to come here today, change my plans. I was supposed to come and meet her at beach number 3, give her the card, explained how she can discern God's will, and now she's going to be able to talk to her friend about that as well. And she asked me if she could have a card for her friend, because she knows her friend is very spiritual and great faith in God, and she's sure that her friend would be delighted to hear about the book as well. So far my day has been very blessed by the signs on the highway, the license plates telling me what beaches to go to. Now this woman has been blessed by me being there at the right moment, at the right time. At the next beach, I got to that beach soon after another couple had arrived and just settled in. And so when I gave them the card, told them about the book, they were really intrigued. And I asked, as I typically do, I asked them if they had any miracles in their life they could share with me, because I have a radio show I could share them on. And so they were delighted to hear about the book, and they were delighted to share some of their miracles. What was beautiful about this was that, I was going to the beaches in the right order, and I just went to one beach where I met that woman who had the pregnancy problem, and now here these people had just arrived. And the first thing they told me about, and the woman, it was a married couple, but the woman was delighted to tell me that she had a terrible problem for many years of alcoholism and drug addiction combined. And she met her husband-to-be. He introduced her to his church, and she, at his insistence, she went to his church a couple of times, and she was delighted. And they had a prayer group there with people who prayed over people who had illnesses, etc. And so her and her husband-to-be decided they would ask the group to pray over her, and she was instantly healed. Just right after their first prayer that night, she stopped drinking, stopped drugs, and had no desire for them after that prayer night. And then a little while later, she said that she had developed, maybe 2 months later, she had developed a terrible pain in her back. It just suddenly happened. There was no reason for it. She wasn't bending down, lifting anything, or walking anything. She just developed a terrible, excruciating pain in her back. And it was early enough, so they called the prayer group that night, and the prayer group said, yes, come on over. And she got to the prayer group, and as soon as one of the women who was in the prayer group placed her hand on her back, the pain immediately left, and her husband-to-be and the prayer group people all saw a black cloud float from her back out the window. Really stunning story, but that's her story. The pain left immediately, and the people confirmed they saw a black cloud come out from her back, and they surmised that it was an evil spirit that was causing the problem and causing the pain. And when they were praying over her, the evil spirit left, and that was a sign apparently from God to show them that the power of God had just cured her. Our next coincidence miracle was that I went to the next beach, the third beach in the order that I was, advised by God to do. And I didn't have any stunning thing happen immediately, but as I was passing out the cards, I met a person who actually had my book already, and they were there at the beach reading it, which was a great gift for me to see. But as I left that beach at the end of the day, an amazing thing happened. There was a couple stuck in the parking lot. Their car broke down, and I was able to help them get started and get back on their way and tell them about our book as well. And they also were delighted about the book, and delighted that I, wound up helping them, because the parking lot was pretty much empty and there was no one around to help them other than me. So I was at the right place at the right time as I was leaving that last beach, which meant that God really did have me go to the right beaches in the right order. And as you might remember, my day started out by me getting on the highway, and there was a car plate in front of me leading me with a license plate with 4 1s on it. And now on the way home, as I got off the exit, the last exit to go home, I found myself following a car that had 4 number 5s on it, which means the power and the grace of God. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.